Transform your life by setting strong work boundaries. This has been a big theme for me recently, and the first piece within this is to understand and recognize the importance of work boundaries. Because if you do not have work boundaries, what can happen is you can face some burnout. And recently, that's what I faced. I felt this decrease in cognition and memory. I felt slower, I felt sluggish, my brain felt racked. On top of that, I felt some strong anxiety in some situations that I typically do not, especially social situations where my mind was not operating at the level I was working, and I was always just worried about work. So I felt this deep feeling in my eyes where I felt like I was gonna cry, and I felt this deep feeling in my chest of this tightness. And it was so frustrating to feel. And the reason was because I had no boundaries. I was just working all the time, whenever. If I was making a bagel, or if I was cleaning up the house, or if I was getting ready in the morning, I always had this educational YouTube video. Or if I was not doing that, I was sitting at this desk just grinding away on tasks that I probably actually didn't even need to be doing. I'm gonna get into that later. But it's important to focus on that having boundaries is important to make sure that you do not face burnout. You can still work 80 hours a week, but if you have the boundaries in place, you won't face this burnout. Or not necessarily that you won't, but you'll be less likely to. At least that's what I found in my experience. When I was working all these hours, I would spread these hours out, and I was always on that treadmill, as I would call it, and it caused burnout in me. Another thing to recognize the importance with work boundaries is it'll actually improve your work. It'll make your work better when you have these work boundaries. And you'll be like, what, Chris, how? Because when you have that yes and no time, as I call it. So yes, I am working. No, I am not doing anything else. Yes, I am relaxing. Yes, I am cleaning. Yes, I am making food. No, I am not working. When you have that, you will be fully present and engaged at every moment. And when you will do that, that will make you more effective. When I am in my yes working time, I am now fully present at every moment and making sure that I am focusing on the right things and not worrying about the gym or not worrying about what food I'm gonna eat, whatever, because I have that time later that I'm focused on those things. So you will actually increase and become more effective by having these boundaries. And finally, with recognizing the importance is recognizing your work-life balance. What do you want your balance to look like? And if you want to improve that, you can check the balance in the description below. Helpful little tool for that. But you want to look at what does your balance look like, and then not letting your work take over that balance wheel or the balance you want to have. Maybe you want to work 100 hours a week. Great. Maybe you want to work 20 hours a week. Great. Whatever it is for you, you want to find your balance and then not let your work affect that and have strong boundaries around it. So again, you can be more effective at work. The second piece is going to be to find where your boundaries are needed. If you found that your work is out of whack a little bit or out of line, you now need to find where your boundaries are necessary. And so for me, the first thing I found was my time management. Specifically of not letting my work expand over the whole day. If you've heard of Parkinson's Law, your work will expand the amount of time that you let it. So for me, it was important to push my time that I was going to be done working much earlier in the day, so that I'm forced to get that work done in that time. And so now I've created this handy little thing where I have all my work, and it's my daily planner basically. So it's cool that I have that and break it down. It'd be really helpful if you just break it down to 30-minute segments, time block it out. That can be really helpful with your time management. But also time management and prioritization during working hours. I was working on shit that quite frankly didn't really matter. So when you're working, whether maybe you're at a job and you're working on things and you have tasks, really focus on what work are you doing, and is that work moving the projects forward, moving the business forward, moving whatever you're working on forward, instead of just doing shit that doesn't really matter. And that's what I found, is that I was watching YouTube videos on ads, but I'm not even focused on ads right now. I'm focused on content, I'm focused on outreach. I'm focused on sales, I'm focused on marketing. So really looking at anything outside of that doesn't really matter. Or I was focused on how to be a better coach in coaching sessions when that's not necessarily my focus right now. So find out during your working hours, what can you prioritize, and is it moving the business forward, or is it moving your projects forward at work, whatever it is. Once you've mastered and looked at time management, it's time to look at communication, specifically communication of during your work and outside of work. So what I mean by that is, let's say your working hours are over, actually disconnecting from work itself. And yes, I know if you run a business that may cause some decrease in clients, but for me in business, it's the person who can endure the longest. So it's like working out. You can't do an 8-hour arm day and have massive arms. You've got to do 1 hour a day working out a week, not 8 hours at a time. And so it's looking at and disconnecting from your work. So when you're done, actually putting your devices away. And that's been a really helpful strategy for me lately. Put my computer, put my phone almost away for the rest of the night once I'm done, and focus on whatever I'm doing at that time. So disconnecting, not responding to things. So maybe it's a Saturday and you don't work on Saturdays, and that's your boundary. Instead of looking at your email and be like, oh, I could respond to this email, you're not getting off the treadmill by doing that. You can set up auto responses, and you can turn off the notifications. This way you don't have to worry about that stuff. So not responding can be really important to take your mind off it. Again, if you run your own business, yes, you may lose some clients because they want you to respond right away. And typically the prediction of how many appointments you have or sales you get is how available you are. But for me, it's who can endure the longest. And if I can endure longer by not responding, sometimes that's helpful. But again, you can set up auto response, stuff like that. And if you work for a job, same thing. You can set up auto response. Hey, I'm not in the office today. I'll respond to you at this time. It's really handy tools out there. So communication. And finally, task prioritization. Saying no to things. So if you're working on certain things, so for me right now, I'm working on sales and marketing. And so for me, saying no to things that are focused on ads or focused on coaching or focused on a physical product business. I'm saying no to all that shit because it doesn't align with what I'm focused on right now within my service-based coaching business. And so saying no to things that don't move you forward is crucial in task prioritization. And those are where boundaries needed. Again, it'll make you more effective. You'll be working on the right things. You'll be able to work less hours and be more effective at the same time. So by doing that, you will find that it will change your life by having these boundaries. It really will make you more effective, and it'll make your time a better use of your time, all that good stuff. So that's finding where boundaries are needed. The third and the final piece is strategies to have boundaries. One of the first strategies you can use to have boundaries is to communicate them. Communicate them to your supervisors if you work at a job. Communicate them to yourself if you are a business owner, that yes, this is what I will do, or communicate them to your partner. That's one of my favorite things to do as well. You can do that if you have a job or a business. So you tell your partner, hey, Saturday, I'm not gonna be checking anything. So if you see me checking my email, hit me on the arm or something like that, because I wanna make sure that I have these boundaries so I'm more effective and I can enjoy life more. So communicate those boundaries to whoever you need so then you can stick to them. Another thing you could do is to actually create a dedicated workspace. So this has been very helpful for me as a business owner who works from home. I established an area for work, and it's just this desk right here. And so when I'm done with work, what I'll do is I'll actually move all my things off the desk. And so if you work at an office, really create that dedicated space where you can separate yourself from your phone, separate yourself from the things that need to be done. And your workspace can still be considered your computer. So let's say you work in an office and you have a computer, actually creating a dedicated workspace on your computer that removes distractions can be really helpful so that you're more effective and you can mentally get into work. Because if I were to work in my bed, I guarantee I would have a terrible time sleeping because I think I'd need to be working. And so separating those two things can be really helpful in creating a dedicated workspace. And then finally, quiet time. Quiet time is one of the best ways to have strong boundaries because we live in such a stimulating world and it continues to get more and more stimulating. With all these technology, all these devices, we're so interconnected. So finding a way to get disconnected and having quiet time and turn your brain off, get your brain off that treadmill can be really helpful. So for me, one of my favorite ways to do this is driving. When I'm driving, I turn off the music, I turn off the podcast, everything, and I'm only focused on my thoughts in driving, obviously, but I'm just kind of letting my thoughts run and going through them and having that quiet time. I also like to do sitting outside quiet time. Whatever you can do, finding quiet time can be a really helpful way to create those strong work boundaries, make you more effective, and really change your life. If you like this video, please comment in the description below your favorite part, and I'll make more videos about that. I'll see you guys in the next one.